All right, this is the time when you need your towel that you brought along. What we're going to do is use it to mask the area that we don't want to splatter. We're going to do some splattering to make that sand have a really cool texture. And I'm going to need a little bit more. I don't really want to get this tablecloth totally splattered, so I'm going to use some paper towel just to block. If you're just doing this on the table at church, it probably doesn't matter. We can wash it off. Just block out anything that you don't want to get splattered. And it doesn't matter if there's some splatter in the water, but then we're going to need two brushes. We're going to use this one to hit the brush against, and this brush we're going to use to get the sand colors out, and then we're going to splatter them on there. And the idea is to get smaller sand pebbles at the distance, and as you come closer to get larger ones. So what we're going to do to get larger splatters like these is switch to this brush to make the splashes. Okay? So at first we're going to do it this way. So I want to take very wet colors that we have used to paint the sand already. We can add in a little of that burnt sienna, that's nice, and get this brush really loaded, and then against the handle I'm just going to go. So fun. So far away we're looking for some little sand. Can do different colors. Do some dark ones and some light ones. Okay, now I'm going to dry this brush off. I won't be splattering myself. And then I want to get this brush loaded. Hopefully it won't be too blue. I can't seem to get the blue to come out of there. And I want to get some nice brown paint loaded into this brush. And then I'm going to come down here closer on the path with some larger splatters. Isn't that fun? And then if you want to add more, specific footprint kind of things, you can take your brush and, add a few more larger ones if you like. Make them smaller as the path goes closer to the water. Lead people to your focal point. Good. You can dab those out if they're getting a little too big. All right, that's fun, I think. All right, I'm going to remove my things I blocked with. Get them out of the way. Oops. Okay, so next we're going to do the water. The water is a different color of blue. It should be a deeper, a little more greenish blue than the sky. And it's the Prussian blue. So I have some in this puddle right here. And I'm going to use the sharp edge of this flat brush and stroke it right across the horizon line. I'll try to make this as straight as I can. Good. Kind of take your time on that if you want to. And then we're just going to go we're going to be bringing this color down into the lake. And one way you can do this is to add a water and then just meet up with that color that you loaded on first, and it'll blend because we're in a downward slant. Then I can go in the water again, and then I can start to do some painting where I'm leaving some white, because I don't really want this lake to be a totally calm lake this day. We're going to have some waves, and the way you have waves is by leaving some white. Now it seems to me that there's usually like some waves that are hitting the shore, right? So we don't always want that wave to go all the way to the shore, or the blue water. You want sometimes to have that be a wave crashing onto the shore. And the water shouldn't all be exactly the same color. You know, there could be some variety. A lot of times waves have a little more deeper color right before they crash over into the white cap. So you just have to play with this a little bit. I think that rough edge is really nice that I managed to get there. Can't always get that to work out. Here's another one that looks like the top of a wave, don't you think, when it's coming over? I can probably darken this up a little bit in between. You can switch to your other brush if you'd rather use a round brush for this, that's fine. There's no real right or wrong here. It's just that you're just working with it until you think that you're pleased with how that looks. And I think that's looking pretty good. So I think I'll leave that go. What do you think, Dick?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right, we're doing good. I think at this point I need to get everything dry again. So I'm going to stop a minute and use my hair dryer. The next part we need to do are the grasses, and this is a lot of fun, and we're going to use this rigger brush, and we're going to use a lot of these colors that we already got going when we did the sand, but we're going to also use sap green. So we're going to, I guess I already got that wet, but I got to get some of that sap green out here onto my palette. One thing about painting grass is you don't want it to be clear. You want it to be opaque. So what we're going to try to do is make a milk consistency of paint in our puddles. We're not diluting it as much, because if we dilute it too much, our grass is transparent. And actually grass isn't transparent, is it? It's opaque. We may not want it all that bright of green, but we'll be adding some of these other colors. The raw umber is great. We've got some here, but it's already very diluted. I think I'm going to dry this up a little. These spots that were so dilute. I need it to be a little bit more milky. There, that's nice. Okay. Some of the burnt sienna. That is beautiful. Makes a nice grass color. And some more of the yellow ochre. Okay, good. All right, so we're using this brush. And my plan is to have some little shorter sprigs of beach grasses along the edge of the path, okay? But then also some medium-sized grasses on this little hill, this little dune. Some of those will go up high and go into the water, over the water, and we can have some of the sea oat blossoms at the top. And then over here, which is our foreground, we'll have some that are smaller back in there, but then we'll also have some other nice big tall ones. It'll be beautiful. I need to dampen my brush and then just decide which color to start with. We'll start with some green. I think that'll be pretty. Whoops. Woo. Let's drop my brush. And we'll just get a feeling of how this works. And you want to probably practice first on your paper. Just see what it's like to stroke with this pen. It's almost like a pen. What's, I think, fun to do, and let me do it on this side, is you can do some of your strokes up and then kind of make a bend down, because not all of the blades of grass are straight all the way up to the top. This isn't quite wet enough. We want to have a good flow. We won't want it to look like it's not really fully painting the paper. But just practice a little bit to make sure you know how to use the brush. You can get several blades of grass out of it before you reload. But get a good load. Lay the brush totally in your paint puddle. Okay? All right, we'll go ready to start. And I'm gonna do some along here first. And it's fine to have them go off the paper, you know, onto the tape. That'll look fine after you remove the tape. So it does grow in bunches, doesn't it? As you look at your reference photos, you'll see that it has thick clumps. And we're going to make different colors in our clumps, so we don't have to feel like every blade has to be done in this bright green. We're going to be doing lots of different colors. Now, we didn't really talk yet about where the sun is in this picture, but we are going to want to do some shadowing from these clumps of grass. So let's assume that the sun is over here, okay? The sun is coming from the right, so our shadows are going to cast to the left. Just for your information. We don't really need to know that yet, but it's going to become important later. Okay, just going to continue this process. These are a little shorter over here, remember? Notice on the reference photo of the grasses that on the bottom and the bottoms of the clumps, there are almost always some dead, you know, more of the brownish colored leaves. Some are on the ground. I'm going to have to get more green. I'll do a few more greens and then we'll just move to a different color. We just want to have fun. Make some nice long ones that we can have be our, whoops, I need a little bit more here to get these lengths. Remember not to make it too thin, and I have a tendency to do that. You gotta thicken this up a little. Okay. I'd like one more here. Good. And if this is a windy day, then all the grasses would be blowing one direction or another. So that's another thing you can play with. If you want all your grass to go one way, you can. Let's move on to some of this burnt sienna. I think that's a lovely color for this. And we'll add some lively grass colors. I got that little water here. It's really up to you if you want to do all these different colors or not. Some darker ones. And you can have it look like some are coming up out of the frame. You can really do as many of these as you want. We'll just do a few more, and we'll move on. And mix these colors together. Whatever you think would look like your beach scene. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit of this dry grass that kind of grows around the bottom of these clumps. It's the stuff that's kind of died off. Could have made this ground darker behind here. I think it would look a little better at this point if this was a little darker. Because the sand, wherever you have a lot of foliage growing and plants, isn't quite so light in color. Okay, so you can just do that as much as you want to, and then you can use the same brush on some of these tall ones to do their little blossoms. And they're just fun little, they just hang down, kind of hairy. Not all of them have them, but some of them do. So I'm just going to play with that. It's a nice point of interest, I think, to have in your beach scene. Okay. Okay, one thing that, remember we said that the sun is coming from this way? So these clumps of grasses can have a cast shadow. A really good formula for shadow color in watercolor is to take a little bit of ultramarine blue. You don't need very much. And some raw umber. Mix that together. And you kind of play with it a little bit. It's got a little brownish. I'll add a little bit more blue. And it becomes a gray. And that is a nice shadow color for almost anything. I think I'd like to water it down a little bit. I don't want it to be quite that dense. I'll test it over here. Could be a little. I don't need a lot, but I just want to show you how to take that color and just from the base of each of those clumps, just bring a shadow over, and it really helps the dimension of your painting. If you make more distinct clumps than I did, it'll be even more effective. I don't think I did too well on this painting. I'm not liking it real well, but yours will be great. Also, if you had this built up as a real ridge, you know, kind of a higher, darker dune, like I have on this one, then your shadows can show up more. See all the different cast shadows I did on all those different clumps and grasses? So that, and down here, you can see the shadow. So it's just, as you look at these different versions of this that I've done, I did better on some of them than I did on this one today. But that does help a little bit. The other thing that I would like to do, I don't know if I can do it at this point, is to make this sand edge a little more distinct. Maybe we'll try it. We need our really dilute sand color, kind of the darker version of it. I'm just going to try it over here and see if it works. Okay. If I can keep it under the wave and blend it, we'll have a better. It'll look like the wave might be coming over the sand a little more than it does now. Okay, that's better. I could certainly keep working on it and getting more grasses, but the next thing we want to do is add a focal point. And I think it might be nice, since I didn't save any white, to do a sail or an umbrella. I think I'll put in a few seagulls. Now, I have some reference photos for you of just silhouetted seagulls, and I think that those are cool. A lot of times people just end up doing like a little upside down W, and that's not too bad. You know, you can say that's a seagull. Here's some other little ones I was practicing with. They're different forms of seagulls. Let's see. I did a few on this painting. A few different ones. Some are closer than others. 3 is a good number. This one just has 3. They're all very similar. They're just coming toward you. One is closer than the others. And so definitely practice on your practice paper before you do this on your painting, because it's really a little bit hard to remove things. One thing I just learned though today is that a magic eraser can actually erase a little, you know, something that you have on your paper that you don't like. So let's just practice, let's try it once. Let's say I don't like this grouping right here. If I get that magic eraser damp, let's see if I can remove. Oh yeah, see that? Now you don't want to do it too much, but then I could do that over again now. I've removed a mistake. So if you made a seagull in your sky and you had to remove it, you could have another cloud. But it'd just be something that you could do. All right, let's try some seagulls. I think since we don't have black, sepia is fine. It's a very, very dark brown. As long as you don't dilute it too much, it will, I think, be great. So just use your little liner brush, your rigger. You're just going to use a little tip of it. And look at the pictures and decide what one you're going to try to do. I think I'll try to do that one that's coming kind of straight on. It looks symmetrical. So I'm going to go make this little part of the wing a little thicker. And then I need a body. It takes some practice to keep a rigger brush in control. It's okay. It's not great. But I guess I'll try one on my painting. Ready, set, go. How about right in here? So I want to go. And then the body. And the other. Really looks like it's going up into the air, doesn't it? Ah. All right, well, there's one. Let's do a different one now. We'll do... That looks like he's upside down or something. I'm going to try one like this one. Okay? A little simpler. Maybe over here. All right, well, we're on our way. You guys have fun with that, and we'll be around to help you. I'm going to do a really simple one for my last one, I think. Let's see, what should I do? I think I'll just do one of those upside down W's. So it's way in the distance. Okay, I'm going to take off the tape now, and I want you to be really slow and careful with this so you don't take paper with it. Just go at an angle and just take your time. Otherwise this tape seems to pull off the paper, some of the paper, and you really don't want to lose some paper. So just go slow with that. And the last thing you should do is sign your work. So we have some permanent marking pens along here for you to use, and just find a nice spot in your work that you'd like to put your name. And the year. And then we'll see what it looks like with the mat. What do you think? I'm sure yours will be great too. Because we're going to be saving the palettes, I'd like you to clean it before you put it away. So to do that, we're going to leave the paint in all the labeled spots, but we want to get the mix areas of the palette all cleaned off as well as we can. So take your water sprayer and make sure they're all wet. Take your paper towel, which you're using today, and try to absorb all of that out. Now it will stain. Some of the colors are more staining than others, but use a couple of different paper towels and maybe wet the areas a couple of times and see if you can get as much color out as possible. And the empty spots should still be clean. Go over it again, and in the next class we will be able to have a clean palette to start with. Okay, and then leave it open and we'll let them dry. Well, I hope you enjoy it and have fun.